We're going to be exploring arrays and how we can get values that are contained within the arrays. The arrays contain multiple different types of data types, and we've even included an object within the array, and we're retrieving back that object value that's contained within the array by using its property name. Arrays are zero-based, so that means that they do have an index value that gets associated in order to return back the value for that item, and the index values will start at 0. And because the index values are all going to be unique, that gives us a way to contain multiple values within the array that contain the same value. Create a brand new JS file where we can add an array into it and open that up, and we're going to create an array. The array is going to be assigned to a variable called ARR, and in order to assign an array, you can use the square brackets. The items contained within the array, these are going to be the items that are values that are contained within the array, and then we can use the array variable in order to request those values and return them back within the code. So assign a few values, can add in different data types such as strings, you can do numbers, booleans, as well as null. And there's also objects, so you can add in an object within an array as well. And these are all going to be identified using the index value within the array. So they don't have property names, but they do have index values. And unlike the objects, you can repeat the same value multiple times because these are going to be looked at as separate, different values that are contained within the array. Let's create one for the object. And I'm going to structure the object similar to what we would with JSON. So create the object, and I'll also set up a last name as well for the object, and then we'll retrieve the values that are contained within this array. The array structure is typically on one line, so you're not going to have the same kind of structure where we're using the white space as we do within the object. The reason that I've separated it like this is because this is an object contained within the array, and it makes it a lot easier to read the object structure, even though it's contained within the array. Using the console log, output the array into the console, and when you save it, you get this type of structure. You can open up the items that are contained within the array, and you see them, they get identified. They all have an index value. Arrays are zero-based, so the first value within the array gets an index value of 0. Arrays in JavaScript code provide us a powerful way to interact with the data. So in order to output the data and the contents of an item from the array, we would look at the index value of that item, and then we could select the value and retrieve it back within the JavaScript code. So let's select out, and selecting a value with an index of 5, let's return that into the console. So using, once again, the console log, select the main container, which is ARR for the array, and then using the brackets, identify the item that you want to return back. So the way that we identify it is we use the numbers. So again, 0 to 8 or 0 to 7, that means that we have 8 items in the array. Let's select those items, and we'll select the item with the index value of 5. That will return back the associated value for that index value. So what if we want to return back the value for the item that has the object, and that has an index value that we see with an index value of 4. So if we retrieve that back into our code, we see that we do get the object being retrieved back. And if we want to get the values that are contained with it, because this is an object, we can use either the bracket notation or the dot notation, and we identify the property name, and that's going to retrieve back the value that's associated with it. And here's the example of using the dot notation. So either one will work, as long as, of course, we don't have any spaces within the property name, and that allows us to retrieve back the value. So go ahead and try it out, create an array, and retrieve back the contents of the array, output it into the console. You can be ready to move on to the next lesson.